The Philadelphia 76ers training camp is in full swing, and we're beginning to get an idea of the picture that is painting for this season. But there has not been enough conversation about Guerschon Yabusele and what he can bring to the Sixers team. I'm going to break down what is being said inside training camp from both Guerschon himself, what he's saying to the media, as well as some outlook for Nick Nurse specifically, and talk a little bit about how he fits into the Sixers team. Now, we know that Guerschon was this Olympic hero, that he had the massive dunk over LeBron James, but there's still a bit of a question that he is a bit of a mystery man as we approach this season, that he is by far the player on this roster that we've seen play the least NBA basketball, outside of course, Jared McCain and Dembona and the rookies, the young guys there. But Guerschon is a guy who was a former first-round pick. Ultimately, things did not pan out for the Boston Celtics in his first go in the NBA. He was forced to take his talents back overseas, where he really has refined his game, added some notable skill sets, and now is ready for another opportunity. So we all got the notification knowing that the Sixers signed Guerschon shortly after the Olympics. Daryl Morey admitted to the media, or at least told the media, whether or not he's, talking a little bit here, but he said that he's been trying to sign Guerschon for 3 years to this point. If that is true, I'm very impressed by that, by the scouting overseas. That's been another area that I think the Sixers have fallen a little short on in recent years is, dominating the overseas market and bringing in kind of this untapped talent that a lot of teams, I think, don't take enough advantage of. So Guerschon could be a pathway towards starting to break things down, and from what people are saying at the training camp, he looks excellent. Now, I don't want you guys to take my word for it, so I'm going to pull up exactly what is being seen, and shout out to the Sixers social media for tweeting this out here. You can see Guerschon working on the corner three, the form looking as advertised as we saw in the Olympics, and doing a couple other things. There is some short rolls mixed in here. You can see him playing as the screen man. Nick Nurse talked a little bit about his potential as a small ball five in the rotation, so that's something that intrigues me, a little bit of touch with the floater there, but I'm overall just impressed with his size, his physicality, and that shooting stroke is going to be a huge swing factor for how he fits into the Sixers lineup. Now, to get into a couple quotes here, I want to start off on the things that changed overseas with Guerschon. So he was asked about how his game has grown since he last played in the NBA, and he said, quote, "Mentally, I'm a different basketball player than I was with the Celtics. I really grew up a lot. Shooting skill, reading stuff on the court, when you're off the ball, what I can bring, how I can help my teammates get open, get rebounds, stuff like that." He was also directly asked if he thought the second chance would come, and shout out to Clutch Points' Sam Giovanni here, who tweets the quote that, "I always told myself that I would be able to get that second chance. I was just working the hardest I can." Now, Nick Nurse was also asked about his new player, and he went in fairly in-depth. Nurse told reporters at Media Day that Yabusele will almost certainly slot in at power forward. When the doors opened to media on Wednesday, Yabusele was working on floaters out of angled pick and rolls, which was a part of the clip that I just showed. And it continues on to say that when asked if non-traditional pick and roll actions have been a focus, Yabusele revealed that the staff has approached him about playing some center. Quote, "Yeah, for sure. I think that's going to be the key, too. If you have a lot of options in your bag, so it's always good because you never know how the game goes," Yabusele said. "So I might play 4. I know some of my coaches asked me if I was good with playing 5, so I think it's just a read. We'll try different things during the season, and I just got to get ready for it. So I'm going to work on everything, even if I don't have to use it, and I'm still going to work on it, just so I can keep at it and get ready." And I love the mindset here, obviously the flexibility, and we'll take another look at some of these jumpers in the corner, a little bit of the skill sets that they're talking about. The angled pick and roll specifically that was referred to in that little blurb from Austin Krell of On Pattison there, speaking about it, that level of play there. And it is nice to have this kind of flexibility. But realistically, I think when looking at the Sixers team, my hope and my expectation for Guerschon is he's making a push for that starting power forward spot on the Sixers team. That truly, when you look up and down the roster, I know currently Caleb Martin slotted to be the primary power forward, the starter for this team. There's a lot of moving pieces still going into play. But I would love for Guerschon to at least make his case why he deserves to be considered for that role, because truly I think from a physicality standpoint and overall seeing how his team stacks up, that he's only the true power forward on this roster. So for Guerschon, I love that here. And there's a couple other quotes that I did want to touch on here. He was asked specifically, shout out to Sixers Adam of the Philly Voice for tweeting this out. He was asked about the first official practice with the Sixers, to which he replied, quote, "Pretty good. I know I had to bring the energy and crash the boards. We're having a great practice, and we're playing together." It continues on. Guerschon was asked if he's ever doubted that he would receive the second chance, which, once again, his quote about working hard and staying prepared. And then he was asked about trying to blend with his new teammates. And he said, quote, "Trying to get to know everybody a little bit more, trying to build chemistry. This is a new team for me and a bunch of guys. I want everybody to feel comfortable when I'm on the court." And he was also asked about Nick Nurse's coaching style, to which he said, quote, One thing that stands out to me is he never screams. He just talks. He makes sure that everybody understands. I'm just listening to the directions that he's giving us. So nice quote there and nice sentiment. Of course, that is one of the things that a lot of players have been really complimentary of Nick Nurse. Is he does truly speak the game. This is not a guy who, as alluded to in this quote, is screaming and yelling, even though he does have those moments as well. But he is really much a teacher, that he wants to teach the game. He wants to add layers to it. And it is clear that they're very much building off last season, that there was a foundation that was laid. And even though there was a lot of turnover from a roster perspective, so many of these key pieces are still here. The Joel Embiids of the world, the Tyrese Maxeys, even guys like Kelly Oubre, there's still pieces in place that it's clear that they're building off that. That's been another indication as well. But overall, when talking about Guerschon Yabusele, I did want to dive specifically into what I think is different about him for this go-around in the NBA. Dating back to his first go with the Celtics, this was a period of time in which he looked more like a traditional big man and also carried a little bit more weight around than is currently the case with him. That it's clear he put a legitimate focus on getting his body right, adding some muscle, slimming down, and he also made changes to his game. The guy has been over a 40% three-point shooter overseas, and by the way, playing for Real Madrid is a pretty solid overseas club there, that he played in some pretty high-level games, some pretty extreme atmospheres. This was not like this guy, just pulling a Ben Simmons and staying away from basketball completely. This was a guy that's been hungry to get back to basketball, and I do think that is a weapon in the Sixers' favor, that he very clearly wants this. He had to pay out of his contract to even get the opportunity to come back to the NBA, and he's really making a gamble on himself that he can play himself into a real deal significant contract, as he did take the minimum, with most of that heading directly back overseas to Real Madrid to get him out of his contract there. I love that kind of mentality from a guy who is clearly betting on himself, who wants this opportunity. He's just 27 years old, which I think is the nice little sweet spot between a young player continuing to be developed, but still a guy that is ready for some impact right now. And let's not brush it over that, yes, it's the Olympics. Yes, the style's a little different, but this guy was the starting power forward for France, which took the silver medal. These are the best players in the world, and we don't have to go into the Noah Lyles conversation of a world champion versus NBA champion, because I think that's crazy. But the bottom line being that Guerschon Yabusele was good enough to represent the country of France on a silver medal run. That's a pretty strong inclination for how he stands up. That there's other legitimate NBA talents on the team, the Evan Fourniers, our guy Nico Batum, that it was Yabusele who continued to stand out through the entire process, and it seems like that's exactly what's going on in training camp right now. So there should be a growing buzz around Guerschon. There should be some excitement around the Sixers making this addition. This is Daryl Morey winning in the margins that other teams aren't even exploring at this point. So we'll see what happens when he ultimately takes the court, but I love this flexibility. I love that they're trying him in different roles, and I do think there's very clearly one for him on this Sixers team. So ultimately, we will see how things shake out, how much of a role that he does play, but this is a guy that I think fans are going to cling to pretty quickly, and a guy who I truly think does raise the ceiling of the Sixers team and could make a significant impact when everything is said and done. So let me know if you guys agree with me in the comments. Is the Guerschon hype squad already growing? Are there people already in the corner ready to get excited about this dude? Because I'm pretty close to starting to run that club myself. So let me know if you're with me. Make sure you're dropping a like on this video, any comments that you have below. If you have not already, make sure you're subscribing to the channel. We got plenty of big plans coming into the season, and hopefully Guerschon Yabusele and the rest of the Sixers are ready to deliver for us. So appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in this video once again, and I'll be talking to you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.